Hello and welcome to this very special episode of Look What I Found, Mythos Busters production. We are half the Mythos Busters. I'm Sean. Joining me tonight is Ian. Hi, Ian.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Not too bad. Just one of those busy days, but I'm looking forward to unwind with an exclusive card.
Unwind and unveil, as it were.
Yes.
How excited are you for the craziness of today's card? Is it like
Oh,
it's legit a
oh,
little bit crazy, right?
yeah. I mean, I think FFG marketing has generally been uh, generous with giving us cards that are interesting to talk about. Like, because I don't really care if they give us a power card, because sometimes power cards are boring to talk about. It's like this card is good, but this one especially today is like, oh boy, there's a lot that can be done with it. It's wide open.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, we'll get there.
Yeah.
So we're obviously today previewing a player card from before the Black Throne Mythos pack. Um, So yeah, I suppose let's get right into it. Yeah.
Yep.
So Ian, since it's a green card, I feel I must
Everything.
surrender it to you.
Okay. Let me go ahead and okay, this is another in the long line of cards that the title is in quotations. This is You Owe Me One. It is a zero cost, zero XP event with an intellect, a combat, and an agility icon. Favor and gambit traded. Look at another investigator's hand. Okay, I'm already interested.
As you do.
You may play a non-weakness card in that investigator's hand under your control, and if you do, you and that investigator each draw one card. Yeah, sure. That's what you said the last 3 times.
So so so
Yeah.
okay. So there's multiple levels to this card, right? There's
Hmm.
there's as intended, which is a fun little card. If you're not like strictly adhering to the table talk rules, you can set up some kind of be like, oh, I can take your 45 and I'll just play it and we each draw a card and it cantrips and we're good. And you know what?
Sure.
If you have this in there as a cheeky one of and you never have that situation, this has decent icons.
Oh yeah, for sure. And if you have stuff that exists these days, like Min or Grizzly Totem, then those icons can get doubled, essentially.
And then
But even
there's
if not, it's
then
still
there's
good.
the power gamer level
Hmm.
where this is going to break the game at some point and I'm calling it now.
Yeah, well, I feel like early in the life of the game, I remember in some early episode we talked about maybe in regards to teamwork,
Mhm.
that at some point can be a card that'll let some broken combo happen. And yeah, I mean, because Rogue already has the cards that are most apt to game break, like with infinite actions and quick thinking and
Or
all
double
kinds of
or
stuff.
nothing.
Yeah, double or nothing. And then you bring in the ability to grab a card from pretty much anywhere, any class, any XP, if you time it right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is free and both players involved draw a card back. Like this replaces itself. Like
Yeah. It
I mean,
replaces both players. Like you play it and replace it, and whatever card you take gets replaced for the other player.
I think there are few rogue decks that I will build in the future intended to be played at 3 players or more that will not include at least one copy of this card. Like
Hmm.
it's just I don't know how actually good it is, but this is really fun.
It is, and there's almost like so many combos. I haven't had time to just like sit and think about them because the possibilities are endless. Like because it doesn't specify. I could see if it was like, oh, play a card that's like level 0 or something. But this is you just the only stipulation is it can't be a weakness. But
How
yeah,
about
you can grab someone's lightning gun and play it on whoever it could be, any of your rogues. Or the other thing is this is level 0, so any of the Dunwich Gators
Dunwich?
can take it
Oh,
too.
it can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically name any 2 card combo and this almost any 2-card combo, and this card could facilitate it.
Sure. Yeah. There's quite a few, like any rogues, anyone who has access to rogue, the Denwich, and then yeah, it's really like because if you compare it to teamwork, which I mentioned, teamwork is also level 0,
Mm-hmm.
also 0 XP,
And also 0 cost.
um, and 0 cost. The it's limited though that the items. I guess one way that it's better than quote unquote than Yomi one is that investigators at the location can kind of freely trade, but it's also limited to item assets and ally assets specifically.
And
Uh,
resources, right?
and resources, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some like if you're having a kind of like flea market in the middle of your game, then teamwork is the card for you. But Yomi one is the card of like, I just need that one card to pull off some crazy combo.
Or, I mean, you think of some card, there have to be cards out there where just like anyone ever would want to play it, right?
Sure. Yeah. Um, it could be like because initially you think of those big bomb cards, but this could also be like certain allies that you play and want to get under your control.
Or hell, just like a really simple early game deck. I'll grab the flashlight out of your hand, and now I have a flashlight. Like,
Right. Yeah.
like even on like the simplest, this is interesting.
Yeah, and I think I saw someone point out in chat a difference too compared to teamwork is that you don't have to be at the same location. So they can be on the other
Mm-hmm.
side of the board and somehow you're still getting what you need from them.
God,
It's
no.
getting airdropped from that plane that's in the art, I guess.
So now I have to call not a parallel because it's not parallel, but I have to call a comparison, I guess, to Message from Elrond from Lord of the Rings LCG, because it seems like it's trying to do a pretty similar thing, yet this is so much better.
Yes. Yeah.
So, drink
It
for anyone out there who played Lord of the Rings LCG.
I mean, just when I read that first line before I got to the rest, I'm like, look at another investigator's hand. Okay, go on. And then yeah, I you brought up something interesting too, talking about the table talk rules, because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's always an eternal
Yes.
discussion in the co-op LCGs.
And plays
Because
in
if you
huge here.
yeah, this is one where I mean a lot of times I don't think it matters. I mean it matters in some ways, but this one it matters big time because if you just kind of have free information between each other, you can set up combos. Or if you're playing two-handed, like you can tailor make two decks just to take advantage of this.
Mm-hmm.
And you're essentially like building the two decks as one, knowing that the rogue deck can grab what it needs. But otherwise, if you're being more coy about your hands, that there's a interesting fun factor as the rogue player of when do you play this. Um, you kind of wait for other players to waggle their eyebrows at you, and you waggle yours back, and that's when you know it's the right time.
What a world to live in. Where other players will waggle their eyebrows so that you can play their cards.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, how do you I'm looking at this more from the rogue perspective, but how do you feel when the rogue person in your team plays this card and starts rifling through your hand?
That's that's it's a really interesting dimension to this whole thing is the metagame of it. I know we both
Mhm.
mentioned the table talk rules aspect, but then there's also just the fact that technically, I'm pretty sure by the rules, this player can just do what they want without your consent, right? Like, if a
Yeah, they just
dispute broke
yeah.
out, this card does not require consent.
It does not. It just says you may play it. So you just say, well, you get a card.
Yeah,
There's nothing you can do about it.
either way, I'm a big fan because this kind of encourages the co-op mindset, and that
Hmm.
can be a big leap for a lot of people who have played other card games where you're just kind of you're focused on your deck and what you're doing. And I think one of the really cool aspects of Lord of the Rings before Arkham was that shifting your mindset on playing for the better of the group, because one win, all win
Mm-hmm.
is it adds a lot of interesting dimensions to cards that would otherwise be super marginal.
Yeah, it really does, and it's still how many years are we into Arkham now? Like 3 years or something?
Is
Um,
it already? Yes,
I
I think
2,
so.
3 years? I'm not.
I think it was
Yeah,
October 2016.
I still, when I play multiplayer, like, obviously, I'm thinking of party composition and that type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think about, like, "Oh, let me build some cards in my deck that someone else can take advantage of."
Mm-hmm.
And like, even Lord of the Rings, it took a long time, to think about, "Oh, this might be an attachment that I could play on someone else," which would be kind of analogous to what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Except, the
so
not selfish
yeah,
version.
yeah, so I'm interested to, like, even planning for Gen Con coming up or Arkham Knights, like, I'm really tempted to include this in my rogue decks, but is this something where I like talk to the people I'm playing with and be like, "Oh, do you want to include this card so that I might potentially grab it?" Or maybe I'm paying more attention to their deck lists and,
Maybe, and
and then taking stock. Or maybe it's just like, "Oh, I don't have good cards in my hand. Let me play this."
yeah, it also might be like this better suits a character who can flex pretty well, because
Hmm.
the more options you have for playing an advantageous card from somewhere, like maybe your Guardian already has a full 45 down, they drew their other one, they're really not that pressed to play the other one, like, you know, uh, yeah, God. I hold that this card will break the game at some point for someone who cares to put the combo together.
Yeah.
But as
Yeah.
intended, played reasonably, this is a really, really cool card.
Yeah, and I think my mind and probably a lot of people's minds go straight to the combo, and I think I will be exploring that, especially two-handed. But I think in four player, what we just talked about is good too. It's just like instead of just your hand, you now have access to four people's hands. So
And that is a thing. Particularly when you don't have to worry about like class or deck building restrictions anymore. Can you
yeah,
imagine just sitting at
yeah.
a table like, okay, so Iron Man is probably the most consistent four player that I have access to. I still get to play from time to time for
Hmm.
standalones and whatnot, but imagine sitting at a four player table with three other people who have decently consistent and honed decks. Like, someone's gonna have an extra something. Can you imagine just being like, all right, can anyone have a thing that I can play?
Yeah, yeah.
Someone's gonna say yeah, and as long as you've positioned your investigator to take advantage of multiple potential directions, it's a really good card.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I guess the one thing to keep in mind is it's not fast, so it is triggering opportunity attack. So if you're trying to like quickly grab a gun and you engage in an enemy, you're gonna have to soak that opportunity attack. But fortunately, cards like, oh god, I'm blanking on the name, the one that cancels an opportunity attack in Rogue.
Heroic
Uh,
Rescue,
no, it's a card that I play a
Narrow
lot.
Escape.
Narrow Escape, yeah. That's made for that kind of situation.
Yep, yep. So, wow, what a card. Again, this is one that I just feel like is going to be just kind of fun in multiplayer. We're gonna hear about it when someone figures out the super combo that breaks the game.
Hmm.
But beyond that, I feel like this is one card that will probably not actually get talked about a whole lot, because a lot of people play lower player counts.
Yeah, and a lot of solo. I think it's gonna take a while for people to um figure out possibilities. Oh, I will point out the people are throwing out good stuff in the chat, but
Mm-hmm.
I will pick out one. Daniel points out play that Seal of the Seventh Sign as a rogue who doesn't need their arcane slots.
Oh, sexy.
I mean, that's just one example of so much stuff that's possible,
Oh, but I'm
especially
so
because
into it.
Rogue is good at paying for stuff too.
Excellent. Well, God. Aside from the possibilities, any final thoughts on You Owe Me One? Let's talk about the flavor real quick. We haven't talked about the flavor. amazing, and the flavor text is also fantastic. I want to point that out.
Yeah, as always. I guess final thoughts is I could see this being some kind of like fun episode in the future to like center deck building or something around in a Mythos Busters proper episode.
Hmm. That could be interesting indeed. Perhaps
Hmm.
like a Finn Attorney Urkel you owe me one type build where you give a little and take a little.
Sure. Gonna call it the scratch my back combo.
Oh, Scott's in the chat, and he really wants us to point out the griefing potential of this card.
Oh yeah.
Boy,
Um,
does your teammate really need that level 2 Pete Sylvester? Too bad for them, because you're gonna play it straight out of their hand.
Imagine swiping someone's Dr. Milan at like the beginning of the game. There might be a fist fight.
Wars have been started for less.
Yeah, for sure. The DRMC.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us on this edition of Look What I Found, and thank you to FFG for providing us cards to talk about for this whole cycle. I really hope that that this continues into the next cycle, because this is really fun to do. If you are unaware of our podcast, it is Mythos Busters, where we talk about all things Arkham. We're about to go record the next episode in our Discord server, so if you haven't joined it, feel free. It's discord.me/mythosbusters. And hopefully we'll see you guys for the next box for the Dream Eaters. Hopefully there'll be something to talk about, something that we'll find that we'll want you to look at.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm circling the drain now. Thanks everyone for joining us. We will talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.